Thank you for attending today's Hofstra men's lacrosse postgame press conference with head coach Seth Tierney and junior goalkeeper Mac Gates. Before we open the floor to questions, Coach, give us your thoughts following the win over Manhattan.
Yeah, I mean, certainly winning beats the alternative. And I'm proud of our guys on how they've been resilient coming off of, two tough losses. Villanova, where we thought we played really well and just couldn't hold on at the end. And then just, got beat by, in the second half by a really good Binghamton team. And to get back out there, us have a midweek game, Manhattan not have a midweek game, to come out on Wednesday's practice, be angry but focused. Thursday, put some finishing touches on it. Friday, again, make sure that we got everything down. And to play against the Manhattan team that they've got a very good goalie. They have a plan. They're good defensively. But I think that we've been preaching a lot of things, and some things we did today, and some things we didn't. And we'll settle up that on Monday. And now we've got to just continue to push forward. Again, it's at this point in the season, it's less about the other team, and it's more about how smarter can we play, how much poise can we gain, and now we bought ourselves a week to try to just become a better lacrosse team.
Questions?
Yes, sir.
Coach, their top goal scorers, Gupwa and Walsh, held to 1 goal off 15 shots. How impressive of a game was this from your defense and from Mac?
Yeah. Listen, Mac Gates is, we're talking about him like he's not even sitting here, right? Like Mac is, he's played really well, and he's got great poise, terrific young man. He served his time, and even probably at points, frustrated because maybe he could have been more on game day in prior years. But he has served his time, and he is making the best out of his opportunity right now. We haven't delivered some more W's from Mac for him to get the recognition of how well he's played, right? You kind of forget about the team that loses and you move on to the team that wins. But really good poise. I think the biggest thing is the defense in front of them. They would jump in front of lacrosse balls for him, going at a very high speed. And Brian McIntosh and Tom Ford and Tim Hegarty, they got to those guys' hands because those guys are talented offensive players. I mean, they went toe-to-toe with Duke for more than a half a game. They almost beat Navy out here. They got some guys. So with Mac stepping up and making some pretty good saves today, it certainly it just kind of builds up the momentum for your defense when your goalie is standing strong.
Coach, one of the major things was face-offs, and the face-offs were just really important there with Chase. Didn't give up a single face-off in the last 2 quarters, second half.
Yeah.
What did you tell him when you made the change? How impressed were you with him?
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's one of the things that we weren't ready to deal with in regards to that, right? We thought we had a great 2-headed monster, and we do. Not, Brian's in a little bit of a thing right now, and we're going to help him get out of it because we still have 2 more games before the conference starts, and we've got to make some decisions on how we're going to get guys back and how we're going to do some things, because at this point in time it's all about conference play. But for Chase to go 100% in the second half certainly tilted the time of possession our way. It allowed Mac to see less rubber. It allowed our defense to rest a little bit, so that when we did play defense, we weren't blowing from a turnover and having to redefend. And so when Chase or Brian Herbert, when they do their job, everybody reaps the benefits of it. So that helped the ground ball situation, it helped resting the defense situation, and it helped in the fourth quarter on some defense. Yes?
Hi Coach, Michelle Vanish from the Hofstra Chronicle. How did you and how did the goalie, how did you both recover from the second to the third quarter, considering the amount of goals that went in versus then a complete shutout in the cage?
Yeah, I mean, I'll let Matt think about it and answer it. We came in at halftime. Can you imagine losing the last 2 and then coming in and being down at halftime, you know, you could actually have that feeling of, you know, here we go again, right? And the guys were very poised. I was upstairs in the defensive huddle at halftime. Those guys, everybody was talking, everybody was focused. The offensive huddle made a couple of adjustments, understood what was going on. And, you know, again, it's not like they didn't have shots in the second half. Just Mac was there, and the defense allowed him to see the shots that he wanted to see.
Yeah, I mean, I just think we had like a ton more just focus at halftime. Before there'd been this kind of panic mode, like confusion situation if we're down at the half. And we really focused on this week just staying together and staying calm, and I think that showed coming out in the second half.
Mac, what does it mean to you have that defense right in front of you with McIntosh, Haggerty, and Ford that, as Coach said, will literally fight for you no matter what. If there's a ball coming, they're going to stand in it no matter how fast it's going. What does it mean to have that solid rock of a defense right in front of you?
It's pretty special. I mean, all three of those guys are three of my closer friends. So I mean, getting to play with them and just like, we're all really close. And like, if like, I don't know, if I mess up, Tim has my back. If Tom messes up, it's just like a really close-knit group, so it's pretty special.
So question for Coach and Mac. With today's weather conditions not being optimal, Coach, what would you say the game plan that you had with today's weather, if that was impacted at all? And Mac, how would you say that the rough conditions impacted your play?
Yeah, I mean, we covered it at team meal last night after practice yesterday in our, you know, final preparation meeting, and then we talked about it. One is it's windy, so if you hear it, say it, right? I mean, because not everybody can hear. Wind is the worst weather. That's the worst one, is people don't realize that. Then, you know, we moved the game up because we'd rather play in the rain than in, you know, if it starts to snow now. We tried to shorten our passes. We knew that they were a 10-man riding team, and if we got out ahead of them, that we were going to see a lot of that. And that forces you to make some decisions. And we didn't clear the ball as well as we would have liked today, but we did make some of those adjustments. And the other thing is, we told these guys, you got to become one with the weather. So if it's wet out, I would rather these guys just go out and jump in a puddle and become one with the weather. Just become wet. If it's cold out, then go and get cold. And so it's not a factor anymore, right? If it's snowing out, then go roll in the snow and become one with the weather, because it can't be an excuse at the end. Both teams playing it.
Yeah, I mean, the communication stuff really important, and I also think, and Coach kind of harped on this, when it gets really rainy like that, it'll get sloppy, like sticks will bag out, and like maybe the fundamentals won't necessarily be there, so it just kind of comes down to effort, and that's kind of what I think we harped on a lot this week.
Thank you. Would you say so that the weather always exacerbates the effort you guys put in, or kind of devalues it? Is that what you're saying?
No, I mean, I just, because as the game gets sloppier, it's just kind of about which team is wanting it more, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, you know, the weather can lead to a turnover that can lead to a mental turn. And if you can stay with it and understand that it's not going to be pretty all the time in this weather, again, we're dealing with equipment, we're dealing with wet gloves, we're dealing with everything heavier, you're dealing with a baggy stick, you know, that the mesh of the stick gets wet, it could throw some things off, and it was coming in sideways. And at one point in time, it wasn't water that was hitting us in the face. There was some sleet that was coming down, and you just had to deal with it because there's two teams out there, so you just can't make it a deal.
Matt, just a quick question, asking, you know, what's the vibe in the room after a very impressive one like that, and especially after two really tough losses?
I mean, I think there's definitely just a little bit of, like, everyone can kind of take a breath. Like, we were, not in the sense that we can relax, but just like, I think it's really important for us that we get a win after just Villanova, a really close game, and then Binghamton was kind of a really hurt the morale in the locker room. So I think to come out with this newer focus after Binghamton to get a win, I think it's definitely a step in the right direction.
Coach, having a defensive style of game like this where you can give up the least amount of goals you've given up this season, how important was that for you leading up to arguably your toughest game of the season coming up against a team in Rutgers who has been pretty special so far this season?
Yeah. Rutgers is going to be upset. They lost to, I think, to Princeton yesterday. They're a very talented team. Every game takes on it's a new chapter in this book of 2022, right? So we've got, after some of the things that we've been through, the injuries that we're dealing with, I'm happy to tell you that the guys have a day off tomorrow. And I want them to be away from everything. Like, we need to cleanse a lot of things, and just like cleanse our brain, and then we'll get back at it on Monday and get a game plan going, knowing that Rutgers is a very, very talented team, top nationally ranked team, and they're coming into our place. And again, it's going to be another opportunity, another experience, another competitive environment for us to play in, and we're really excited about it.
Question for Mac. So, a strong campaign so far this season for yourself. Where would you attribute your success to?
I mean, I guess just in preparation, and just trying to stay as calm as possible before the games. Like, I mean, most goalies, I think, will say the same thing. If you get in your own head too much, thinking too much when you're playing, you're not going to play as well as you can. So I guess just in preparation, trying to stay as calm as possible.
No more questions at this time. This concludes today's post-game press conference. Coach Mack, thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for your coverage.